next question is about coaching. Now, I know, yeah, we're in GoBundance, which is considered kind of a mastermind. Have you ever paid for coaching or anything, or have you had like a mentor and was it worth it?
I have never paid for a coach. It's something that I'm open to at this point in my life. I'm 41, so old enough to know I'm not going to live forever and kind of value my days a little bit more than I did 20 years ago. As far as mentors, I was incredibly lucky to meet a guy when I was 20 years old, my first professional job. I have a really rough background. Father died in prison, that kind of sob story. But, so really was kind of learning life as I tripped along, just trying to figure out how to be an adult. And I had the good fortune to meet a guy by the name of Mark Godomsky. And he was the guy when I said I volunteered to work on a proposal for 18 months. He was the guy that was in charge of that proposal. And so I was smart enough to kind of see like, okay, if I'm going to be in this industry, I was doing logistics support at the time. And I kind of said to myself, I'm going to be in this industry. I want to be on the business development side, the strategy, competitive analysis. What contracts do we go after? How do we help the company grow? Those types of kind of bigger thinking in each of these companies. So smart enough to kind of see the opportunity, and then also smart enough to see like, hey, this is a great guy. I'd like to get to know him a little bit better. And oh, by the way, even though I showed up 18 months Saturday and Sunday, because we used to show up in person for those types of things, I never got anything out of the company other than a $500 bonus before taxes. So $300 after taxes, and they gave me 1 day off. Didn't get a whole lot in terms of compensation from the company for my participation with that. But in hindsight, probably one of the smartest decisions I've made as an adult. That guy actually kind of grew our relationship to where he retired and more of a father-son relationship. He actually was the best man at my wedding in late October. So that's my chief mentor, my chief cheerleader. He's just if anything, he tells me to slow down, but he's just super proud of me. And we both, the older we get, we just absolutely cherish and value the relationship. So that's my guy.
Man. Okay, there's like so much in there. So I don't want to like diminish everything that you said because there's so much. But I will say one thing that kind of stood out was like your work ethic, even though the compensation wasn't there. Now, I'm never the type of person to be like, oh, this generation doesn't work hard. Like, I think that's garbage. I don't subscribe to that at all. I think every generation works differently. But what I will say is it does feel like inclusive of our generation, there's less people who want to put in the effort, especially if there's no compensation for like the learning or maybe like delayed gratification. So that kind of stood out to me huge. I mean, a 20-year-old kid, you were 20 at the time?
I was,
That's
yeah.
insane. Like to imagine you giving up so much of your time for very little compensation is hard for me to even picture. And I can say with certainty, I wouldn't have done that, just out of like selfishness. Like, yeah, so that's huge. But what it's turned into is a lifelong mentor. And so it doesn't look like that for everybody. But I do think like if you have someone and you say, how can I add value? And they answer that, be willing to put in the effort and the time to gain the long-term result, which is kind of something I took from what you said.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, probably a little bit long-winded there and a
No,
little
it's all
tedious.
good, man. No sweat.
Yeah, it's been an interesting path. And I, now at 41, I look back at 20, 21, 22, and, being so incredibly fortunate to come across somebody at such a young age in my young career that really kind of guided my 20s and 30s, put me in the right position to, really elevate myself in that career. Despite how much a corporate career I wasn't passionate about and wound up wanting to do something entrepreneurial, he still put me in the right places to succeed.